So I've been watching the fish, obviously, as you do, feeding them and all that, and I've noticed that on the Kujaku I had, but the Kujaku has got a few bumpy marks. It's not like cotton wool, nothing to do with that. It's not white spot, it's something else. It's like an inflammation towards the tail and on the pectoral fins. So of course I've just been through that Learnex Pro treatment, and he only appeared a day and a half after I finally decided I had it all clear from the Flukes. So I'm gonna have to do scrapes, and while I'm at it I'm gonna bowl a few fish for you to show you, and I'm gonna bowl the 3 big ones, so the Kujaku, the Chag and the Goromo. There you go. So this is my big Chag. I've just measured her, taken 2 scrapes. I've just seen, one on the side here and one on the belly. It's a female. She's just 2 years old. She's been imported from Japan. Then I went to purchase her because this is what I was really after. That kind of marking, that kind of color. So she's just 2 years old. She's got like a golden bronze color. Absolutely stunning. Okay. Really, that was really my dream fish. Obviously a Chagoi. But yeah. What I liked about her is the fact that she had on her fins there, and at the end of her tail here, it's like a light brown color. On the top, she's like a tea, like a nobody's color. There you go, back in the pond. She is 44 centimeters. I really thought she was longer than that, but she's 44 centimeters, so that will help me to keep a record of her if I bowl her again. But there you go, so you've met her now. She's my big girl. Absolutely stunning fish. I found her very, very pretty. Next fish. I could say so much about this fish. In a nutshell, he is the culprit, I think, for the Flukes. I purchased him, I was after a Goromo. This fish come from a koi dealer, and I'm not going to name them because that's not the intention, and it's not in my nature to do that. But this fish is still slim, although he has put a little bit of weight on now, starting to. There was a mistake in the transport and dispatch, and that fish was bagged for 48 hours. When he arrived, he was in a terrible state, as you can imagine. When I opened the bag, Rachel, who was at the end of the garden, could smell it, and that's how bad it was. He was barely breathing. I immediately put him in this specific bowl, chuck a lot of pond water, and he wasn't breathing. He started turning, and his flesh just turned yellow. I mean, the entire body was yellow, but not the skin like sometimes you see some Shiro-tsuri that are yellow. He was, the flesh, basically the flesh was rotting. He stopped breathing at one stage, and the only thing I could do was take my small, I've got an aquarium pump, air pump, and the only thing I could think of was to literally put the air pump in his mouth, the tube, and blow it. And that's exactly what I did. I'm just going to release him because he's stressed out. But as you can see, before I release him, too late, he's gone. As you can see, he had the dorsal fin quite red. So I am still in talks with the dealer. No, I don't think nothing. They're still denying that they've sent him 48 hours before. But when I spoke to somebody else in the shop the day before, they say, yeah, we sent him out. So that was on a Wednesday night, and I received him on a Friday morning. They're still denying that they've done that. But he is what I call my angry fish. He's an angry fish. I really like him. I think he's a very pretty fish. He just needs to put a hell of a lot of weight on. He's only 2 years old, would you believe? So from what they said. But you know what? I don't care how old he is, and he is now safe, eating, swimming. He's just my angry fish. So for 3 days he was darting everywhere, and to the point that it was impossible to keep him in a quarantine container because he was so agitated. With 2 nets on the top, he went through the net. It was just terrible, and at the risk of, you know, maybe contaminating my pond, which I did, I just thought, let's put him in a pond and swim, and that's what probably saved him. And even now that I've caught him, you can see that he's much, much calmer. He was definitely not like that when I first got him. So there you go, that's the story behind this fish. So for my record, the Goromo was 46 centimeters. He's a male and apparently 2 years old, but that I will never know. So I think you've seen this fish before. This is my Kujaku. Comes from Kunikoi. She is 2 years old. So since the fluke outbreak, that fish has developed, don't know if you can see it. There you go, some marks on her fins and some marks on her tail. And actually it's a male. Definitely a male. This is like sandpaper. This is like sandpaper, and his fins are like sandpaper. But there we go. It's definitely a male. Yeah, so come for Kunikoi on that special shipment that Kunikoi had. Andy Daly did that video. So what I absolutely adore about him is his scalation again. See the dark scales here. I wanted something that was not red and not yellow. He is orange, but see that color that you can see there? This is his true color. is actually fluorescent yellow, orange. For a 2-year-old male, I think he's fantastic. Just about to measure him. But there you go, absolutely adore that fish. So the reason why I chose him again is because of the scalation and that little dot on his nose. I thought he was super cute. I thought he had a well-balanced pattern. This is weird what's happening with his tail. That's occurred over the past day and a half. This is why I wanted to pull him out. Since I've done the second dose of Learn Expert. So I'm just in my office. And I've got all the scrapes there. I'm just going to check them out. But for the record, the Kujaku was 44 centimeters as well. So here is the culprit on the Kujaku. I couldn't find anything on the Goromo, and I couldn't find anything on the Chag. It is definitely on the Kujaku. So not only I've had Flukes, I now have Trichodina, and you can see on the same slides I've got one here and one on the top left. This is mad. This is crazy. And I am pretty sure once again that everything has come from this Goromo that came over. I'm glad I managed to put it on this video. So there you go. This is what Trichodina looks like. It's not moving right now, but it was moving a minute ago. Yeah, not good. Yeah, not good. Absolutely crazy. I think my fish deserve a treat tonight, so I'm gonna treat them with this and with some of the shrimp, river shrimp, and there you go. Bless them. Oh, that's all I needed now. I was reluctant to get the the PP treatment, potassium permanganate treatment. It's such a harsh treatment. Not only it can cause damage to your fish, it's quite a dangerous product, although if you do it properly there's no reason why it shouldn't work, and providing you've got hydrogen peroxide by your side. So instead of going down that route, I went down to the route of formaldehyde from Antilabs. So I took the small bottle, it's 250 milliliters, and I paid just under £12. So that will do for 2 doses within 7 days for my pond. Plenty enough. So yeah, this is what they've recommended instead of going through the route of the very harsh treatment of the potassium permanganate. And well, let's try. I'm all for trying something a little bit new, although that project's not new, but new to me anyway. And why not? I don't really want to knock on my filters and damage the gills of the fish, because PP will do it. So I just calculated my dose, and for my pond and all my filtration system included, I need to put 95 milliliter. It comes with a little, measuring jug there. So I'm just going to put 95, put it back in my jug in here, mix it really well. Although it is liquid, it's just to give you the mix. UVs are off. And here we go. So although Trichodina doesn't multiply as quick as Flukes do, the major problem that you've got with Trichodina is that they do not need a host, so a body, to live. Okay, Flukes do live in a body or on a body and then go onto another body. What Trichodina does is they can go into your filter system and live into your filter system in the media. They can live at the bottom of your pond. So before you do any treatment for Trichodina, what you have to do is vacuum your pond. They can live in the algae that is on your wall. They can live under the net that is holding your plants. And this is the major problem with Trichodina. Okay, so although they are quicker, they're faster at dying, and they're not as quick as multiplying, they can live anywhere. And unlike Flukes, who multiply very quickly, but they need a body, they need a host in order to live. Lunchtime now. I'm just having some ravioli, and there you go. I'm just going to be watching the fish and eat my lunch. So here we are, just to give a little update. I have done another scrape, mainly on the Kujaku, on the Matsukawa bake, and on that little chag there underneath the big chag, and there are no Trichodina. So no trace at all, not even dead ones. Really happy. It looks like it's a very good result. Fingers crossed. For this season, let's enjoy it now. Oh well, although I still have to finish the pond. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.